I'll talk about the infrastructure and workflow that I follow when I'm thinking about new creative ideas for marketing. And this type of infrastructure, I'm going to show you the Notion system that we use and how I think about it, because I believe it's one of the most interesting engines that tech and software companies can build today to get an economy of means. So with the least amount of resources, the maximum output in their marketing and growth activity. I think this applies to more than just new creative variation, but I will just give you how we use it today and how I used it in the past with all the other companies I was working with, mainly in the context of B2B SaaS and tech. So we're gonna go into the details, but this is not a perfect or academic approach. I'm sure that it's not a one-size-fits-all. I think of this infrastructure as an example of skilled individuals taking on a wider workflow so they can take on more, and B2B companies can use this example as a way of growing faster with a smaller team. We're gonna talk about 5 things today: creative ideation phase, how to get an idea to become an actual creative variation, design, production, review, and finally the 5th, handoff. For the creative ideation phase, you can use a lot of AI tools. You can use ChatGPT, you can use AI just to script and brief for you ideas. The golden nugget that I can give you, at least from my experience, is that in B2B, the best creative angles are born from a conversation with customers. So I have an example of a moment where I did actually find a winning ad, a winning creative and an actual great idea just talking to a customer. I got on a call and I asked them, do you think this creative will work? Did they create something that resonates with you? And I just spoke out loud the script and I got 10-15 minutes of one-on-one feedback on a call, and I stored all of the little notes and I re-scripted everything with the inputs. There were technical details because we're talking B2B, there were terminology, it was clarifying better the problem and even giving a lot of granular detail on norms and specifics. And so in this way, what happened was that I got the golden nuggets from the ideal customer on a specific angle, a creative angle, and I included that. I sent back again, and he was very happy to help, to give me a feedback on that content. So thanks to a single action, taking a call and reviewing with the customer, we've built an angle that to this day is a strong winner compared against all of the other creative angles. So I highly suggest to do this with your customers. I think this is easy because you already have earned the trust of these people, you already have a relationship with them, and they're very happy, especially if the product is good, to help you market better. So there's a couple of components which will help you create the best marketing content because they will help you do it. So after you've talked with customers and found the best angles, you can still do and use all the other briefs, and you already know how to do it probably. Here I think I can show you how we think about, how we use the infrastructure. We put everything in the idea section. Then when we go to the draft, we make the first transition from idea to an actual potential creative. To make this happen, we think about 4 major components. The first component is relevance, how connected this angle is to their job, their priorities, their challenges, and is it considering their adoption lifecycle? So where are they in the bell curve of the innovators and laggards? So you have to consider that when you're thinking about creative angles. The second component is clarity. How clearly are you speaking with their terminology, and how are you talking to them? Is the script, is the design accurate, and are you matching their emotion and feelings? And also, are you explaining correctly the how it works process? So how does the product give them the result? How does the process looks and works? The third one is quantity business outcomes. So having some more quantitative angles. What is the outcome? And money is not the only metric, please change it. You can talk about other results rather than just monetary, otherwise it's gonna be looking like a fake angle and people are not going to trust you. The fourth one is timing. Is there seasonality? Is this something relevant now because of some legislation? Virality is a big one. And one of the examples was Matomo. They used the GA4 launch and the killing of Universal Analytics as a viral opportunity to advertise themselves and to go viral in the category. I think, when you think about those 4 components, when you're actually writing, scripting, briefing the design or a script for a video or whatever that is, I think you're going to be good to go to to actually delivering that or designing or producing the content. I will listen carefully to the question, why are you looking for this kind of product when you're on sales calls, especially if you have a sales team, if you have maybe customer emails asking questions about the product. Prompting on why they were looking for that product is going to give you hints on new creative ideas. About creative variation, I think I would keep things so simple for you. Think about, for videos, hook, body, and maybe CTA, but I don't really think that's a super valuable asset. I would say change the editing style, change the parts of the hooks and the body, maybe mix and match some more videos. Look at the top performers, look at the hook rate, look at the retention rate, and maybe play with that hook and another body, or the opposite way around. What else? I mean, I think for design, just change the styling, just change the design itself, but I think variation is pretty simple. Take the winners, do a lot of variation, 5 hooks, some variation of the body, and editing style and flow, and you should be good to go. I'm not gonna waste a lot of time here. So from the top down, ideas come from sellers, comes from conversation with the customers, come from direct experience, experimentation. In this infrastructure, everything is stored as an idea, then it's taken as a draft, then it goes to be created. And the distinction between draft and to create is the choosing if it makes sense to actually go forward with and actually create, if we are confident it's going to be a great ad, or we just eliminate it. Now let's go to the Notion, and I'll show you how this kind of looks a bit more deeper. But one of the 2 things that we found that helped us so much as a small team and having to handle a lot of content was to include an ID. It's that stupid, it's that simple, but it's what works for us, to be able to track what is working, eliminate what is not, and do a lot of variation of what worked, of the winners. So we grab the ID of Notion. It's simply a property with a prefix with CR, and then there is a number after. And we have 342 here, but of course a lot of them have been killed. This was the first thing, because in this way we can use them as UTMs. We can find quickly on advertising platforms the creatives that worked. We can also ensure that if anybody comes in, they are naming, especially editors and designers, they're naming the creative with that ID. There's an editor and he's uploading the stuff on Google Drive or Omega, and you can find it with the ID. It's fantastic, right? If you can then search this into the ad manager and find the relevant ad, and you know the UTM is the same, so you can find it on analytics. And finally, if there's a static design on Figma, you can find the name thanks to the ID. How wonderful would this be? And that's why we made it. That's why we used it, and it's beautiful. It's one of the stupidest, most simplest things you can do. It's economy of means. We got a single thing that is so stupid and so small, but gets a lot of value, gives us back a lot of time, removes from us a lot of hurdle in terms of operations, and so it's just beautiful. The second thing is we organize things in batch, so we have pages that hold different creatives. Let's say, for example, we have a launch that we have to make, let's say in September. We are going to create a batch of 10 creatives that have different angles and they have a unique ID, but they're batched together because we know we have to shoot content with the camera in this case, or we have to create B-rolls and give that to the editors. And so we know they are correlated for a big launch. And so we use batches to organize more on a macro level the content that we want to launch. We don't use this too often. We mostly use it for shooting days. We use this in the case of a shooting where we create a lot of B-roll. We use it when there's a new launch of a webinar, or when we think about a new product launch. So the batch is basically useful to group creatives together. So a final note on the ID is that we have a lot of granularity. So even at variation, when we talked about creative variation before, it's going to have a specific ID. It's not going to be batched. It's going to be a batch, but it's going to have a unique ID. So you can always find the winners and readapt them. So that's the best way to do it. For production, we kept things simple. We use the same status for video or design, because we think, when we're talking about production, this could mean both. We just divide them by category. And so we have a clean workflow, a clean structure in Notion with all of the sections. So we have recording voiceover for videos, or in review when we're thinking about a specific design. Production, both for video and statics, we just divide them into different tabs. You can see the creative production, mostly for video editors and for us as a team. Designers, when you're thinking about sending a design to somebody on Figma. And that's how we do it. And then we actually get the things to use as soon as it's finalized. The most interesting part about all of what we're doing here is that any single piece of content is never lost in terms of details and information. So you can search back in ad platforms, in anywhere you have the files. But we have the ID, the status, who owns the actual content, if there's owners of designers, editors. We have a lot of automations in Notion to do that. Who is the editor? What is the stage of the funnel? So where do we want to use this? Because for media buyers, this is easier for handoff, and we're going to talk about that soon. The country, because we could have 4 or 5 localizations. Files and media, this is very, very important. We always save the mega drive, we transfer links here. So the editors can hand off, we hand off to the editors or to the designers, and they give us back the links. They send us ownership of these assets directly from Notion, so we don't have to go out. There's a type of content, target customers, and more information. We also use the comments tab to talk about the specific creative in this case. So we know what's happening in terms of the scripting, where are we at with the editing, what is the editor saying about it, and then we send it to who has to manage the content, the media buyer or content manager, and they can share their concerns or whatever. I just created a new page, and as you can see here, we have 4 macro elements inside. This is very important because we won't lose any information about this piece of content. We have the pre-production, the script, and production and launch. We also have a different template for statics, so the designer know what to do. So it's mostly going to be videos and statics. So talking about handoff now, I already gave you a lot of hints. We have the links inside the Notion, so you can find all of the resources. The editors can find the raw assets of the recording, they can find the B-roll, they can find all of what is necessary as soon as we script and we give them the content, because they just have the direct links there. Designers can find the inside Notion in the page screenshots of creatives that we appreciated, that we found interesting, or we want to imitate, or maybe just a sketch of or something. They also find relevant images on Figma, so we'll give the link there. And handoff is pretty easy. As soon as we review and we approve everything, we hand that off to media buyers, content lead, and sales team. So we distribute the content to the company. So I unveiled the infrastructure and the backbone of how we think about the full workflow of creative testing, of creative, not really creative testing, it's mostly creative ideation and actually production, so getting it from an idea and finalizing it and launching it for a media buyer, for a content lead, for a seller to use on their emails, on their follow-ups, and so on. So we follow this process for all the content that comes through the company, and this is what I've used in the past too. As you can see, it's a bit more refined, it's a bit more it has a bit of a nerdy details, but I think this is exactly what I wanted to share. It's part of my job to figure out processes and install them into the businesses that I work with. And yeah, I just wanted to share this with you. It was one of the most interesting cases of systems that I kept using and kept coming back to it, and the more that I use it, the more I enjoy it. So I just wanted to give that to any marketer or anybody who also wants to use the same approach for other kind of projects and for other workflows. That could be very interesting to see.